so many people found it. We put up a sign, thanks to Anya, on the Havara door, so hopefully people that went to the wrong place will be coming on over. Maybe make some room on the edges of the rows, like move in toward the center if you're seeing some space in the rows so that when people come in, they can find a seat easily. I wanted to tell you that over the next few weeks in April, we've got some great stuff planned for Unity. Next week, we're having Amanda. Are you here, Amanda, today? She is she's been living in Omar for many years, and now she's back here in Ashland, being with her mother as she gets elder. And she's been able to bring her partner from Omar over for a little while, and they're going to be doing a wonderful service for us next week based on Arabic Islamic teachings, spirituality. So people right from Omar are doing that incredible educative and spiritual gathering for us. And then I'll be here the following week, and then after that I have to go teach a Journey to Completion seminar in Boulder, but Andrew Harvey will be here that Sunday. I'm so sorry to miss it, but I've had this seminar planned for over a year, so I have to be there in Boulder. But you're going to be privileged to have Andrew Harvey here. And then he's staying a day later so that he and I can do a taped interview together. So that will be great to have that available. So we've got great things in store in April. Well, now let's settle into our sacred space together. Feel your hips on the chair and bring yourself present into this room and into the company of one another. And with a long, slow, deep breath, just feel yourself grounding. When we come together in unity, we can remember that it's called silent unity. That's what the Fillmores first called it, silent unity. We come together in our silence, and it brings us into our unity, our unitive consciousness. So let's just take a moment to be in the silence, the beautiful, precious silence together. And Great Spirit, Holy Spirit, in this silence, in this stillness within and in the presence of others, we can begin to feel our interbeingness with all that is. We, from our little room right here in Ashland, we radiate out this love and interbeingness to our community, and we feel our interconnection not only with the humans but with the nature, with the plants and animals all around us. And we take glory in the springtime, this beautiful springtime weather that we're having. We are so thankful. So we ask that you come close. Let us come close to you during this time that we have together, and may our needs get met. May anything that we've brought to this service that is on our minds of concern, to our hearts and minds, may we feel touched in a deep place and feel cared for. And may we open our hearts to receive. Come and be with us now. Aho. Amen. And our first song is a wonderful, familiar one. We wanted to have drumming to get you into the feeling of it. And it's "The Earth is Our Mother. We will take care of her."
So feel free to stand up on your feet if you feel inclined to do so. Move your body in any way that feels good. And feel your body as Earth is the invitation for this song.
Take care every step we take, the sacred ground we walk upon, with every step we take. Hey yana, oh yana, hey yana, hey yana, oh yana, hey yana, hey yana, oh yana, hey yana. Hey yana, oh yana, hey yana. The earth is our mother, she will take care of us. The earth is our mother, she will take care of us. The earth is our mother, she will take care of us. The earth is our mother, she will take care of us. Hey yana, oh yana, hey yana. 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 The earth is our body, we must remember this. The earth is our body, we must remember this. The earth is our body, we must remember this. The earth is our body, we must remember this. Hey yana, oh yana, hey yana. Hey yana, oh yana, hey yana. Hey yana, oh yana, hey yana. Hey yana, oh yana, hey yana.
That was fun. Thank you. Thank you, our musicians. Today, I'm excited to have Nisha be showing her film to us, the film that she was funded by the Lloyd Haynes Foundation to make. It's not the full film. Yay. It's not the full film. It's a little bit different than a trailer, though, because it's like a preview, like a sneak preview. So it's about 11 minutes long, and it's a preview of what the fuller film will be about. So we're talking about the separation myth today that exists in our world, in our human consciousness. When we call it a myth, this infers that it's a made-up story, that it's not necessarily true. A myth can be like a lens that we perceive reality through, and then we end up taking it as a fact when we perceive through this lens of a myth, right? Are you with me? Mm-hmm. So in Nisha's film, she uses this title, A Separation Myth, to challenge the viewer not to buy into separation as a fact. Being separate and different can be such a compelling way to view things, though. Separate and different can lead to the feeling that one is better and that one is wiser than others, you know? That one is higher and mightier, and then that the other is lower, less valid, of less importance or value. So this separation way of viewing things is really a big puffing up of the ego. Lots of people prefer it. But then there's all of us. We don't prefer that. We prefer... Okay, let's be honest. But we're trying to practice the mystical pathway, which is a pathway of viewing things through a lens of oneness. So that's what I want to talk with us about today, is this other way of viewing things. I'd like, let's see, I think I'll have us do a song next that is called Healing Ancient Wounds. And let's use this song like a meditative prayer that we need to heal the ancient wounds on this planet. The ancient wounds of seeing things through the lens of this separation myth. So I look forward to hearing this wonderful song, Healing Ancient Wounds.
So the lyrics that you'll sing are, we are healing ancient wounds on the Mother Earth. Like that. We are healing ancient wounds on the Mother Earth. Or our Mother Earth. You can sing it like that, our Mother Earth. And then we'll sing, we're healing ancient wounds deep inside, deep inside. And you'll know when to do that part. And then at one point, I'll sing a little verse in there, and you'll keep singing, we're healing ancient wounds on the Mother Earth.
What person barked?
Healing ancient wounds on our Mother Earth. Our hearts are big enough to do this. We are the ones we've been waiting for. And we are the ones that can feel into what we need to feel into and know what we need to wake up to know. And help one another and hold one another and comfort one another in healing the ancient wounds. Just look around the room for a minute and with your eyes just thank one another for being the ones that are here to help you, to help us, to help the planet, to help our community here in Ashland, Oregon, heal the ancient wounds. They're wonderful. They're wonderful, wonderful beings. We're so blessed to be with each other. A few years ago, shortly after I first moved here, I was invited to go down to Crescent City to a ceremony that was taking place for the first time since 1853. It was a ceremony out on this peninsula, sort of like an island, right at the winter solstice. And it was called a singing back the earth, or singing in the earth ceremony. And it was about at the winter solstice, at the darkest night, and all the native peoples would gather all through the centuries from all over to go on the edge of the land and the earth and the ocean right at that point, to do the winter solstice ceremony and to sing in the sun for the next round of it all. Well, the reason this hadn't taken place since 1853, and this is a little bit hard, but you can hold this, you can know this, is because that year, the governor of Oregon and the governor of California gave out guns and ammunition to all of the white people. And they knew that over 10,000 native people would be gathered there, and that it was an isolated island that they couldn't get off of. And so they surrounded them right on December 21st. And it was a huge massacre. Men, women, and children all killed. And so that ceremony never took place again until just a few years ago. And I don't know how I was privileged enough to find out about it and get invited to come to it, but there were 75 native people there from all the different Northwest Coast tribes, representing thousands and thousands of them who used to gather there. And they were speaking of this and remembering and telling the story and talking about how it's not in any history books, how it's not talked about. So it just burdened my heart as I felt through many years finding out different facts like this. It burdened my heart to bring healing in whatever ways we can, to heal these ancient wounds and to do what we can to remember the wounds and to bring them forth, and then to do what we can to reach out and reconcile and ask for forgiveness and do what can be done, to heal the ancient wounds. And it's an inside job, and here at Unity we say that our mission statement is, we are here to heal the planet, one person at a time, beginning with me. Can you say that with me? We're here to heal the planet, one person at a time, beginning with me. It all begins in here, right? Healing our own dualistic mindset, and then helping to, hear the call of what our particular calling is, our particular mission, and then go out to do it. So I'll be talking with you more about this as I go into the talk for today. But right now I want Al to come and read, and Donna's going to play the flute behind it, a reading that is the words of Chief Seattle, Northwest Coast chief, whose name was actually Seattle, like S-I-H-A-T-L, and the city of Seattle is named after him. And he spoke this in 1857, I believe.
Good morning. this. Results of the separation myth upon Native Americans. Chief Seattle. Yonder sky that has wept tears of compassion upon my people for centuries untold, and which to us appears changeless and eternal, is now changing. Today is fair. Tomorrow it may be overcast with clouds. My words are like the stars that never change. The white chief says that Big Chief at Washington sends us greetings of friendship and goodwill. This is kind of him, for we know he has little need of our friendship in return. His people are many. They are like the grass that covers vast prairies. My people are now few. There was a time when our people covered this land as the waves of a wind-ruffled sea cover its shell-covered floor. But that time long since passed away, and the greatness of our tribes are now but a mournful memory. I will not dwell on, nor mourn over, our untimely decay, nor reproach my pale-faced brothers with hastening it, as we too may have been somewhat to blame. I received teachings of your God with open heart and encouraged my people to welcome your God. Yet it seems clear now that your God is not our God. Your God loves your people and hates mine. He folds his strong, protecting arms lovingly about the pale face and leads him by the hand as a father leads an infant son. But he has forsaken his red children. If they really are his, our God, the Great Spirit, seems also to have forsaken us. Your Son makes your people wax stronger every day. Soon they will fill all the land. Our people are ebbing away like a rapidly receding tide that will never return. The white man's God cannot love our people, or he would protect them. They seem to be orphans who can look nowhere for help. How then can we be brothers? How can your God become our God and renew our prosperity and awaken in us dreams of returning greatness? If we have a common heavenly Father, he must be partial, for he came to his pale-faced children. We never saw him. He gave you laws, but had no word for his red children, whose teeming multitudes once filled this vast continent, as stars fill the firmament. No, we are two distinct races with separate origins and separate destinies. There is little in common between us. Day and night cannot dwell together. The red man has fled the approach of the white man, as the morning mist flees before the morning sun.
That's sad to hear, isn't it? So do you believe that the earth is our mother, and the earth is taking care of all of us somehow. It's hard to understand, and yet this is the ground of our belief and our being, that somehow the earth is speaking all the time and is bringing things through to justice and healing. And so we deepen beyond our knowings and our mind into the sense of the Mother Gaia. We listen to the climate change and we try to hear what is being called for, what needs to happen. So we trust into the guidance of Mother Gaia, and this next song is about that. It's about singing praises to Mother Gaia and letting go and releasing into this trust that we are earthlings, all being guided and healed by Mother Gaia.
The lyrics are simple. Sweet Mother Gaia. We'll sing a lot like that. And as you do, just tuning into Earth as Mother of us all. And then we'll sing, thank you, Mother. Then we'll sing, how can I serve you, Mother? One at a time.
Thank you, Mother.
So when we ask, what can be done? What can be done? People, humans, all through the centuries have asked and have wanted to be of service, like the song is saying, to sweet Mother Gaia. And they've come up with answers. And this is from the Zen patriarch Seng Tian in China. He wrote it many centuries ago, and this was the answer that he got when he was asking, what can be done? Don't keep searching for the truth. Just let go of all of your opinions. For the mind, in harmony with the Tao, all selfishness disappears. With not even a trace of self-doubt, you can trust the universe completely. All at once, then you are free, with nothing left to hold on to. Everything is empty, brilliant, perfect in its own being. In the world of things as they are, there is no self. There's no non-self. If you want to describe its essence, the best you can say is it's not two. In this not two, nothing is separate and nothing in the world is excluded. The enlightened of all times and places have entered into this truth. In it there is no gain or loss. One instant is 10,000 years. There is no here nor there. Infinity is right before your eyes in every moment. The tiny is as large as the vast when objective boundaries have vanished. The vast is as small as the tiny when you don't have external limits. Being is an aspect of non-being. Non-being is no different from being. Until you understand this truth, you won't see anything clearly. Isn't that beautiful? So we aspire to that mindset of not two, of oneness. And now I'd like to turn off the lights and enter the movie theater. And thank.
Once upon a time, there was a girl. She woke up in a strange land where she was constantly being asked the question, "What are you?" This question put her on the outside. It made her have to start seeing things that others could ignore. In the media, history, everywhere. She could tell that there was more buried beneath the stories she was being told. She sensed that the past was hanging on. So she decided to explore the untaught histories, how they affected the present, and what could be done to heal. She sensed there was something beyond the current perceptions, a new story waiting to be written, so we can end the separation myth. Oregon community to hear the stories of what stands between us.
I feel almost like a little exotic, you know? And so when people see me, they're like, oh. And sometimes it's even like, oh, like, we're glad you're here, or, oh, I just need to look at you a little more because I don't hardly see anyone like you.
When I first moved to Oregon, I took both of my children to the one and only mall in Medford. They both simultaneously pulled at me and said, "Mom, Why do people look at us like that?
You know, ask the director, like, you know, who is he? Well, that's just Burton. Or what is he? Well, he's an Indian. Really? You know, he's an Indian guy. Side people are amazed that I can talk. You know, well, he can talk, you know. He can speak, you know. It was really odd.
It looks like me being asked, like, where are you from? No, like, where are you really from?
You always get the question of, like, when you're interacting or meeting other white folks for the first time, my first thing is, how are you going to perceive me? Are you okay with who I am before I step into this space? What kind of things do I need to make sure I don't say? How are you going to perceive the things that I do say?
So today we did a march for Operation Wake Up Ashland, which was a march really working to address the subtle racism that happens in our town, and sometimes not so subtle racism.
I don't blame my white friends for not knowing what I've been through, because, you know, if I were them and I've been treated nicely in shops or in other establishments, then that's the only experience I have. And so why would I question that anyone would treat anyone differently, right? Until someone shares a story. From its very underpinnings, you know, you could kind of understand why the state in some ways is the way that it is.
Oregon was 100% founded as a white utopia. Several state documents that really dictated that they wanted 0 people of color in this area.
The desire was to have Oregon be a white state.
It was later on a little bit of a shock to discover some of the things written into our Constitution for this particular state were really attempting to exclude people of color.
I said to myself, you know, it's just the history of so many other places, except less intentional in other places.
Ashland was a sundown town, and actually many towns in this state were sundown towns where there was an imposed curfew on people of color. And basically whatever happened to them after the curfew, like, sorry, like, you know what it is.
I went to the Historic Society and was extremely taken aback and shocked at the 4th of July parade in 1960. And I see a big group of people in white robe and pointy hats. And I said to myself, it could not be the Ku Klux Klan. That is not possible. This is 1960. But sure enough,
this land that we're on now belonged to the Shasta and Tacoma tribes. Like, they are the people that, like, lived here, took care of it. But they're not here anymore. They were relocated far, far up north to different reservations, split up from families and their bands and their people.
And it's kind of been our nature as a country. Our nature has been to go displace, replace.
Taking a look at the history of Native peoples is really not what happened. It's what's not being told of what happened. That there is no education about Native America.
What I also wanted to talk about was the whole Dead Indian Road thing. The part of the country that I grew up in, it would have been taken down immediately.
And then I think, like, the history of Mexicans in the state is very interesting, because so many of the Mexican people who came here were in the agricultural business. I guess maybe the expectation was sort of this, like, here but not here, you know, present but not present. and impermanent. And I think that does something to like the ways that people treat you, because then maybe it's like, oh, you're here to stay.
Jacksonville used to be Chinatown. I was really shocked. They said at one time there were about 600 Chinese. In Jacksonville, there's not one trace of Chinese history. It was so wiped out because they were chased out. And in Hell's Canyon, they found a mass grave of over 30 Chinese being massacred.
People don't believe that your history, history holds on for quite a while. It's not just forgotten. Oh, there's black people in Oregon now. We can drop this. We'll never hear about it again. You know, the Native Americans, they're doing well. We can drop this. I mean, we don't ever have to hear about what we did to persecute them again. So yeah, Oregon's history, it flares up. It flares up. And it's still present.
You gotta let us take it. You can't tell somebody else what I need. It's something that I need to do for myself. And while it's very appreciated, I need you to listen to what I have to say. Because if you're gonna advocate, you gotta know what to do. POC as a community, we need to let you know what we need. So just don't step in and think that you can clean up this mess. We're gonna tell you how to clean it first.
I think there is great healing in being heard. Listening is key to that, and an incredible show of respect.
And then when someone shares a story, then those individuals can now go, oh, wait. So maybe my experience is not the only experience one can have. The sharing of the story might now make people more observant, right? Because now all of a sudden, you're becoming aware.
And I want to take that passion that this town displays for overtly not wanting to be called racist to actually not being racist.
A whole lot of people who are willing to be with their own stuff, because that's what it brings up. When we really let someone's story in, it brings up our story. And that's another part of the fear that I think has been blocking us, and that I think we're ready now to move through.
And then we can create this movement from every direction that recognizes and values diversity, that recognizes and values equity. So we can move past this culture that says that I didn't do it. I wasn't even present. But it's going to take that bigger conversation. It's going to take people really being moved for that to happen.
You know, and here's my little boy, and here's the kids they've been playing with all their life. And they go to grade school. Then they go to junior high. Then they go to high school. Then they go to college. Then they get into this society, and they don't know who my little boy is anymore. And he's not recognized as a human being anymore.
I've heard people say that we celebrate our differences, which I think is awesome, but we should celebrate our similarities as well. We should celebrate them, because those are the pieces that really get us at the table.
Because I'm speaking for the people. You know, all people. I want my son and these other people to grow up like this and still be there when they get old. It's really a great analogy. Not this, but this.
see what you've created, Nisha. And just want to know if you'd want to do any shout out to her, anything you'd like to say to encourage her. It's a vulnerable thing, to do something like this, and just lay on some encouragement onto her.
Bravo, Nisha.
It's your gift. Your gift.
Thank you.
To the world.
So powerful.
Change the world.
Freedom.
Huge voice. Voice of the earth.
To see this. Yes.
And where can we? That wasn't the full.
Yeah, but the trailer, what you just saw, is online at the separationmyth.com, and feel free to share it with your friends. Share it. Watch it again. It's online and it has a website. So
Separation what?
myth.com.
Are you completing the film along?
Yes, I'll be completing the film over the summer, and so by the end of this summer is my goal to have the fuller piece done.
Beautiful.
The music, the layout, the way you use the curtain and the curtains and really gorgeous.
Thank you.
And the smiles of all those people.
Share.
It's the elephant in the room that needed a voice. Yeah. Thank you.
Indeed.
Thank you all for being my community.
So just the making of the film is healing, because Nisha grew up here since 9th grade, and the fact that she could be nurtured here and be brave enough in her heart to be able to speak out like this and to tell the truths that haven't been told is a tribute not only to her but to our loving community, really. There's been a lot of support that she's received through the years and that I've received, and
A tribute to you, Norma.
so thankful. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to talk with us a little bit now. As we saw in Nisha's film, the separation myth has played out in this nation with some devastating consequences. It's hard to believe that the Ku Klux Klan was still here in the 1960s. I've talked to somebody who was a social activist leader here in town, and her family was one of the people in the 1970s in Medford who would take in black people if they just happened to be going through town and were caught here after sunset. And they would automatically be put in jail in the 1970s. And so her family was one of the houses that the police could bring people to take them in. So this whole mindset of the separation myth has led humans to have these feelings of superiority. And in particular in our country, we're dealing with how white-skinned people can still feel superior to and judge people of color. And how we're looking at right now in our political realm how Christians can judge Arabs. And these feelings lead to feeling justified in suppressing, ignoring, diminishing the innate humanity of others. Not to mention how this mindset of superiority has led to hurting, torturing, killing, and oppressing people all over the world too. And then what about the animals and trees and all of nature too? So I'd like to talk to us about why we come here to Unity every week. It's because we practice, like I was saying at the beginning, this silent unity. This spiritual practice of healing the great divide, of healing the traumas created by the separation myth. And we call it non-dualism, non-dualistic mindset. It's a view of reality that's the counter to the separation myth. Isn't that why we are here, right? That's why we're drawn to unity consciousness. Non-duality is the state of consciousness that heals the damage done by humans viewing themselves as separate, right? Native American teachers from the time I was very small taught me to see the world this way. I got to study with the Huichol, and they made us do this weaving, that you weave together strands of yarn to create this opening like this, and they called that looking through the God's eye. And I think the God's eye is the view of seeing things not through the separation myth, but through this non-dualistic viewpoint. So non-dualism, it's a living path of loving kindness to all beings, a path of erotic or passionate justice-making. Here are a few definitions or ways of trying to talk about non-dualism. Here at Unity, when we say things like, we are all one, or God is in all things, that's our way of trying to assert that there's a presence that we call reality, and it is a non-duality. Non-duality is the state or condition of not being separate and distinct, even if appearing to be so. That's what the philosopher James M. Corrigan said. Non-duality is the state or condition of not being separate and distinct, even if appearing to be so. Non-duality is the condition that one arrives at when all distinctions and relations between things are removed. Wow, that's what a Zen teacher, Jerry Kotz, said. The word non-duality is like a red pill. Remember in the movie The Matrix? Neo was offered either the blue pill or the red pill. The blue pill would have returned Neo back to his dream world, his delusion, whose unreality he sensed but could not understand. The red pill would awaken him to who he really was and would begin his journey to the source. The word non-duality can work as a red pill if you follow it as deeply as you can. When Neo was being given his choice of the pills, his teacher and mentor Morpheus explained to him, "This is your last chance. After this, there's no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story's going to end. And you'll wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. But you take the red pill, and I'll show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more." So I think that we're needing to take the red pill. Non-duality has to be experienced. It has to be taken in like a medicine. It's got to be seen, lived, awakened to, and then after that, for whatever reason, we might try to define it. But non-dualism is an experience, a mode of existence of the self in this world. And you know, when you experience it, it's sweet, it's borderlessness, and it's an experience of a lack of separation. I won't make you raise your hands if you felt that, but I'd just like you to feel into yourself right now and remember moments when you have felt that unitive consciousness, when you have felt how sweet it is beyond the beyond of all of our separations. When I was a little kid, my whole journey began with seeking to be in that mystical state all the time and to try to end suffering. I was lucky because I grew up in a natural setting and had a lot of freedom to be in nature and enjoyed all sorts of magical, mystical things that happened to me a lot in nature. I hope you in your childhood were blessed with having some of those kind of experiences too. But I also, as you know, lived on the edge of a Native American reservation, the Tonawanda Indian Reservation. And when I was about 6, I remember getting upset because I noticed that there were some older kids in the neighborhood who were bullying my Native American friends. And I'll never forget this one evening when we were out in front of the grocery store that my family owned, which in those days it was the place where everybody hung out because there weren't malls yet. Malls hadn't been invented yet. And so people would come and hang out around the front of the grocery store. And there were the big bully boys. They were pretty tall and big, and their dad was an ex-military guy, and they were kicking and beating up on my little Native American friends, these 3 boys, and I just didn't get it. I couldn't understand what was going on, and I ran in the store to get my mom and grandmother, and they came out. My grandmother was about 4'11". She wasn't very tall, and yet she was full of fury in some moments, and she came out and she went up to the big guy, Patrick, and she took him by his collar, and she said, looking me in the eyes, she said, "What are you doing? We all know each other here. We are all friends. What are you doing? You go home and you tell your father what you just did." That was so great. You know, I'm telling the story now because I've never forgotten it. I remember that moment. It's just imprinted in me. I was so proud of my grandmother. And so my life path has become about how to heal everyone, the bully boys and the ones who were getting beaten upon, you know, to heal our dualistic mindsets and to bring forth justice in our world. And it looks like it's become my daughter's path too. So in searching for teachings on how to end suffering, I found my way in college to the Christian mystics and to Buddha's teachings. The answers seemed to be that we had to be able to come into a silence within one's own self, and to be dwelling in this peaceful state within long enough to hear more deeply. It's not so easy to just be peace within, as Thich Nhat Hanh talks about, is it? You know, when we get upset, things happen inside of us, even biochemically, and it's not that easy to just sit still. It takes discipline and practice, a concerted effort to not just let our anger direct us and our hurt feelings make us speak certain things. Our culture, though, conditions us to be more reactive like that, and it conditions us against being still. There's a study that was done about 10 years back in the beginning, when all of the time this mindfulness research was going on, you know, and the psychologists did this experiment on stillness. They got 150 college student volunteers to agree to sit in a room for 15 minutes completely unplugged with no electronic devices and just sit in the silence with their own thoughts. It sounds simple enough, right? But the majority of the kids felt so uncomfortable being in the silence. So in the next part of the experiment, they hooked the kids up with a wristband and an ankle band that they could shock themselves if they felt too bored or bothered by the silence of their own thoughts. Do you know that most of the male students shock themselves?
That's right.
And a quarter of the women chose to shock themselves rather than be with their own inner worlds. Okay, so girls may be a little more peaceful than boys. But the majority chose suffering over silence. Can we end our suffering? It begins with being able to sit in silence. You can do this experiment sometime on yourself, not the shocking one, but this one. Just watching your own thoughts for 5 minutes and pretend that there are 2 buckets there. And put all of your thoughts about me, mine, your worries, your concerns, stories that you're telling yourself about yourself or other people, the past, the future, etc. Put all of those in one bucket. And then in another bucket, put your thoughts of peaceful, calm, present moment, only moment. And just watch which bucket will be more full. How do we build our bucket of the I, or the ego? Well, it's a natural human thing that occurs, isn't it? Little children at first are in such a unitive consciousness. They're really one with the mother and with the world around them in utter wonder and wholeness. And then at about age 2, the I view starts to develop. Me, mine. Of course, we help the babies to develop this awareness by throwing all sorts of conditioning and enculturation at them. Picture it this way. Say there is this I post inside of the little child, and that all these Post-it notes are getting thrown at it. And there's some that are thrown most often that stick. that become the definition of who I am. So we get conditioned by our parents, our grandparents, our teachers to think about this I, self, over time. They've done tests to show that beta frequencies sent flowing past the brain that are out of phase with the frequency that's running in the brain, that these frequencies cannot even register. Do you hear what I'm saying? After a while, our minds only pick up what we're conditioned to pick up. Scientists did this other study to show how our brains don't even hold memories that don't match up to our main ideas of who we are and of what reality is. They chose a point in time that everybody in the United States can identify with. The day was 9/11. And they asked folks, how did you feel about terrorism before the planes crashed on 9/11? But what they found is that how people felt now is projected back onto how they supposedly felt before 9/11. And they can't even remember how they really felt before that day. So our sense of self is not as solid as we think it is. Ask the question to ourselves, when am I? Not who am I or what am I, but when am I? When? Does the same person keep showing up in every moment of your day? No. There are all different kinds of you who show up in different moments. Your I or yourself is not one giant thing glued together. Virginia Woolf said, we have as many eyes as we have relationships. In the very beginning, we are in the oneness. Then as we develop, we form our I self, which is really made up of many moments, but we try to claim we're just one conglomerate self. And we see this self as separate from other selves. We try to live out of our ego as our base of operations. But then, in some spiritual moment, we get a taste of oneness. And in that tasting again, we realize how claustrophobic and one-dimensional our ego is. And so we set out on a path of detachment, letting go of ego, and then rebirthing ourselves and living life with all of our heart, walking the path of heart. We see that when we live this way, our ground is the divine birthing of God. Because we actually are birthing consciousness in every moment, that we're really open to seeing with our whole hearts what really is. Where do your thoughts come from? Do they come from this ground of being, this beatific vision of union? Or are they coming from an ego consciousness? We have to watch and test ourselves on this. So sometime, well actually, why don't we do it right now? Let's just take a few seconds, really, just a few seconds, to try to watch ourselves and see where our thoughts come from. See if you think them up yourself. I want you to notice your thoughts. Just notice them. Let's say for 30 seconds. And see if they just come on the scene and pop up, or if you are making them happen. Just do this with me for a few seconds. Watch your thoughts. Okay, what happened? What did you notice?
No thought.
No thought.
What does that feel like?
Space.
Spaciousness.
Thoughts of the Indian massacres. Breath. Breath. Breath.
Noticed your breath. The thoughts of what we just talked about. I noticed the sounds out there in the hallway and sounds coming in. What else did people notice?
Gratitude.
There are kind of subliminal, just thoughts like static, and it just arises until.
But are there subliminal thoughts just like static that just kind of arise and they're just there? Well, thank you for doing that little momentary consciousness study with me. There was a Scandinavian study that was done that they were trying to show how we don't really fully know the origin of our thoughts. So what they did was they had color come before a person's eyes and say what color they saw. So for example, they'd have red come up on the screen, and then the person would say, red, I see red. But then they would put the word green up there, and then put the color red, and they would quickly ask the person, what did you see? And the person would say green. And then the second time, they put the color gray up there with no word there, and the person says gray. But then they put into the person's ear the whispered word green. And then they ask the person to say, what did you just see a few minutes ago, gray or green? And the word green is being whispered in the ear, and the person says green. Even though they said a few seconds ago that they saw gray. So it's showing that our thoughts come out of us very quickly, and that they are conditioned by a lot of things around us. We can't really control what we think as well as we think we can. So it's good to be in touch with the fact that we are conditioned by lots of things, but then also to keep asking the question like it is asked to us in Zen Buddhism, who is the sound of, who are you? Who are you? Somebody who's hearing the sound of one hand clapping? Who hears? Where are you? These deeper questions. It doesn't have to be threatening, but it's trying to get beneath our conditioned minds. So I think that's what Nisha's film is helping us to do too, like to wake up a little bit more and get beneath our conditioned perspectives on things. Thich Nhat Hanh used to always say to us, think not, to the point where we called him Think Not Hanh instead of Thich Nhat Hanh. Think not. We can still use our thoughts to problem solve if we need to, but it's a very sweet place that some of you may have gotten when I asked you just to pause and be there in that 30 seconds. It's a very sweet place to be not thinking. Vipassana meditation is all about getting to that place of not thinking, of pure mind. Ayahuasca, Santo Daime, they say it's all about having no thoughts. What makes up selfing, making up ourselves? Tests by brain researchers say that in our prefrontal cortex of our brain, that they've identified the place where we create the self. And it's also the place where we perceive time. And they say it's only been in existence about 75,000 years of seeing the world from the perspective of a separate self and seeing linear time. Humans have existed long before that. So it's a fairly recent evolutionary development, 75,000 years, it's a fairly recent evolutionary development of seeing separation and linear time. One of the first researchers on meditation, how there's a lot that has gone on researching the mind and meditation, was in 2007 at the University of Toronto. And they showed that if a person meditated for 2 months, just 45 minutes a day, that these centers in the brain that perceive the separation and linear time were diminished. And that there was another center in the brain that was activated. And they say that the centers that see linear time and that see separation are also the places where we have these thoughts, the monkey mind thoughts that are going blah, 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 blah all the time. And so through meditation, we go to this other part of the brain. The thought-producing monkey mind is actually shut down. Another test was done where they injected psilocybin into a person, IV, and they shut down the same networks that meditation shut down. So your friends can tell you about this because I'm sure none of you have done that. The thinking mind gets shut down. You experience the moment, sensory awareness in the moment. This is the mystical experience. We can shut down the part of our mind that is constantly viewing ourselves as separate. Isn't that amazing? Practiced meditators deactivate the selfing part of the brain. You can deactivate that part of the brain that perceives you as separate. And you can live in the beatific vision, this union consciousness. It feels very, very good. Researchers say that it feels even better than sex. So, it's the next thing that mindfulness research is doing now in Silicon Valley. They're researching how the part of the brain that's all about oneness can be activated. Isn't that fascinating? I love it when science catches up with spirituality, don't you? So, just a little bit more here, talking about what mystics have experienced all through the centuries. Meister Eckhart called this kind of perceiving, this oneness consciousness, the freedom of love. Isn't that beautiful? He said it was the breaking through to the Godhead. The Godhead is very similar to what others have called the Tao. It's this place of non-being. Eckhart said this about himself. He was talking about it as if it was another man, but he says, it appeared to a man as in a dream. It was a waking dream, that he became pregnant with nothing, like a woman with a child. And in that nothing, God was born. He was the fruit of nothing. God is born in the nothing, in the no thing. So if you can disappear from yourself as observing yourself, you will know yourself as one with God. Eckhart said, this is why I pray to God to rid me of God. Are all of our conceptions of God, in other words. So I willingly birthed myself into existence, non-distinct from what created me, says Eckhart. Therefore I am cause of myself according to my being, which is eternal. I'm not saying I am God, I'm saying I'm nothing without God. Therefore also I am unborn and I can never die. I've always been, am now, and shall always be. Have you felt that? You can know this. You can know it experientially. This love is why a kid on a merry-go-round will, every time she goes around, wave at her parents, and they'll always wave back. God arose simultaneously with the creation of God in consciousness. Of this I am the cause, says Eckhart. What a paradox. There is no separation. If I were not, God would not be God. It's an articulation of incomprehensible love. Somehow love is what creates it all. Deep calls on to deep. Do you get what we're saying here? It's a great paradox. There is no separation. Love calls out to us. We respond. And somehow in that, the great consciousness of oneness is created. There's a saying, sometimes I go about pitying myself, and all the while a great form moves me across the sky. We begin to realize as we go along in these human lives that we are not distinct from the hidden emptiness moving us across the great sky. In the stillness within us, everything arises. The ego is the subjectivity of otherness. The breakthrough that Eckhart is talking about is the experienced subjectivity of the oneness. In that place of stillness and oneness within, all acts, dying, loving, being born, all arise out of that stillness. Nothing is any longer other than. Eckhart said, he who wants to understand this teaching of letting go must himself be perfectly released. So we can have this experience, but only on one condition, taking the red pill. You've got to become released from your dualistic mind in order to understand releasement. You will understand this as you are this. Out of the very intimacy of your presence, you are this. You are the unfolding story. You are the creator creating. The degree of understanding is proportional to the degree of your releasement. An attitude is required for thinking to be perceived. It's an attitude of oneness. This attitude of oneness enables you to perceive more oneness. I am that of which I speak and you speak. And there's some other mystery going on here too, that together there is a communal recognition of what no one of us alone can grasp. Oneness that we experience with each other helps us perceive reality. We are understanding it as we become it. Are you with me? Yes. Do you get the sense of what I'm saying? That we really cannot fully experience it unless we're together. Experiencing the oneness together, experiencing the love. I think this is what Jesus was talking about when he said the greatest commandment is that you love one another. And this is how you will know God. This living knowledge is to become what we experience into being. Eckhart said, an existence that dwells in nothingness is one in which everything just begins. It abides in the origin of the Creator. In this pregnancy, only silence maintains itself. I know this is deep, but I know you can go there with me. A person who has experienced this vision, says Eckhart, goes back to the busyness of the world, the kitchen, or whatever trade you do, and she's no longer eager to hold on to God. She knows that eagerness, even mystical eagerness, makes one forgetful. Eagerness wants to get a hold of God as though to envelop his head in a cloak and put him under a bench. That's what a lot of religions do. A lot of teachings out there want to get a hold of God and envelop his head in a cloak and put him under the bench. What this means is that we ended up getting more than we bargained for here at Unity. We're no longer interested in defining or controlling God anymore. That's why we say we have no dogma. So, after being on the mountaintop of non-dualism in certain moments with each other and feeling all this love that we feel, the customary way you tend to be at home will return. Before enlightenment, in other words, you carried water and chopped wood, and then you came to the mountaintop, and you saw through the God's eye view, you felt the love, you started living the love, and then we come down from the mountaintop, and we need to go chop wood and carry water. We need to go heal our community. So in parting, 4 ideas about what we can do. The idea is that we first of all go home to the silence within, the intimacy of you and God, knowing that you can be in the stillness, in the divine emptiness, and be comfortable there. In order to do this, I really encourage us all to have a daily quiet time with no agenda, to just sit there for maybe 10 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever you can do, in this attitude of, here I am, it's just me. Sit still with whatever will arise from your heart. And the second suggestion is to find these teachings of non-dualism and immerse yourself in them. Find out who speaks to you, and then read slowly, savoring these teachings of non-dualism, and fill your mind with them. The third thing is, ask for the grace to not break this thread of perceiving the union as you walk throughout your daily life. It matters how you wash the coffee cup. Do everything you do by being present to it. Even when the ants come in your kitchen, don't just mindlessly kill them. Learn to be a lover of all. Commit to doing no harm. And the fourth thing is, befriend your fragility as a teacher. Don't assume to know more than you do. Walk with great humility, as our native brothers and sisters teach us, being fully alive in the present moment, will be your great reward. Daily life is all there is. The present moment is the only moment, and yet it goes on forever and ever and ever, one simple step at a time. Aho. Thanks for taking that deep dive with me. We're going to have our offering now, and Destiny is going to be singing another beautiful song for us during the offering. So did anybody bring the blue bags? The red bag, the red pill bags.
So there's a part of this song, if you'd like to sing along, you can. It's a mantra from the Buddhist tradition, Om Mani Padme Hum. This means a lot of things. The jewel in the center of the lotus. It's also a prayer for all beings, in a sense.
Beyond